this video, we're playing in the dirt and setting records on the dyno.
There's a big event held every year in Ridgefield, Utah that Industrial Injection puts on. They do dirt drags, dyno, dirt bike drags, show and shine, all kinds of fun stuff. We're going up there. We got to take a bunch of trucks. Josh is coming to maybe do the biggest dyno number ever.
My truck, I broke the block in Montana, and so I'm bringing a new 6.7 P-pumped 12 valve, a 12 valve 6.7 to the event.
And Meyer's taking Scrat, his awesome day driver, Duramax frame, second gen, common rail bastard. That's amazing.
And we're gonna bring our boys, right? They want a dirt drag on the dirt bikes?
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll make the video, but they're probably coming.
Anyway, follow along, let's get some trucks ready, get them on the dyno, get them built, get them ready, head to Ridgefield, dominate, have a good time. All right, so in getting ready for this event this Friday and Saturday, I've been running this turbo for about a year, testing it, and we just got our engraving done and our new awesome paint job, so I'm putting this bad boy on my truck. It's not gonna make any more power, but sure looks good. So this is our new Aggressor 98mm, just released it. You'll notice this O-ring seal. I like to O-ring all our turbos if I can. O-ring here, I like to O-ring the compressor cover. I hate leaks. I've been running this guy for quite some time. Ball bearing just spins and spins and spins. And anyway, this is beautiful. This is old. It's been there for a couple of years. But the stainless steel turbine housing on this thing was awesome in gold. You see this guy here, the stainless steel turbine housing on these trucks, or excuse me, this turbo. So anyway, I'm excited to see how this does. I've gone really fast in it, and I've actually never had on the dyno, so I'm gonna change that tonight. I'm gonna dyno this thing, get ready for the event this weekend, and if I have time there, I'll try to dyno on their dyno, but there's usually a pretty long line for that thing, but if there's time, I'll do it. So anyway, let me put this together, we'll get on our dyno and see how she does. All right, so turbo's installed. It's freaking beautiful. Decided to go with a new air filter. My old one's fine. It's just old and grody. You put a brand new beautiful turbo on, you can't put a grody filter on it. I'll wash it so I have a backup. It's actually not grody, it's just dirty. So anyway, but going to a new event. The big black beauty here, 6-inch inlet or outlet. Technically, this is the inlet right here. This is your filter outlet if you think about it. Anyway, this guy's gonna go on here, and this thing is ready to go on the dyno. Yeah. So pretty.
All right, guys, this is the new engine for my race truck, Uncle Rico. We've never done this before. This is a 6.7 Cummins block with a 12 valve cylinder head. So this is a 12 valve 6.7. Now, there's a few guys on the internet that have tried it, like privateers, one off, two off, but there's not many guys that are doing this. The big problem is the block and the head don't exactly line up. You have to block some cooling passages and stuff on the block so that it won't leak. The pistons, you know, centered bowl versus offset bowl. You have to have a custom gear case with this nice power driven gear case. We made these years ago. Just a lot of messing around because it's a different block. So there's different bolt holes, places where I had stuff attached I can't use. The dampener setup was a little different. I had to adjust the, the tax sensor pickup. Anyway, it's been a lot of figuring out, but there's no replacement for displacement. So we're hoping that we're gonna pick up some horsepower with this, but most important, what I care about is reliability. If you come look at the last block I was running, it's right here on the stand. And if you come in a little tighter here, you can see the last block, we had sleeved it. These are sleeves to add strength, and we had filled it with block filler. And look, it's cracked from here to here to here to here, here, across, through the middle of the block, down through all of this, around the sleeve, cracked here, all the way down around the sleeve, and it's actually cracked all the way to the end of the block. So basically I overpowered this block, cracked it end to end. This is the 5th 12 valve Cummins block I've broken. I've tried every matter of recipe. I've tried epoxy. This is actually a 53 block, the ones that are known to crack. The reason I built this one, it was the last production block I had not broken. And so I thought maybe a 53 is better iron or something. 53 blocks normally crack right here by the water jackets, the freeze plugs, and right here. And this block didn't break where 53s broke. It broke up here in the deck. But anyways, when the block broke, we lost ring seal. So look at the pistons. You can see we had a thermonuclear meltdown on the pistons. And when you lose ring seal, fire goes by the piston rings. It burned the rings, burned the piston, and the two middle cylinders got roached. If you come in tighter here, you can see how the flame cut into the sleeve. It didn't make it through the sleeve. But if you look right in that area right in there, you can see the sleeve. And then this other one's from this other side. You don't really need to look at the carnage, but long story short, like all the bearings looked good. Wasn't a bearing failure. It was just purely like we're out of block. So in our testing, we found the 6.7 blocks are quite a bit stronger. They have a Siamese bore. The deck is thicker. And so, but I've never used it with a 12 valve because you have to have a custom gear case, modify a few things. You need a different adapter plate for the transmission on the back. So there's a bunch of like little nuances that the parts are all available, but it's not like direct easy swap. But anyways, I decided like I've had enough. I've given up on 12 valve blocks. Short of deck plating one of these, I don't think that I am going to be able to make them hold any more power. So that's why we built this new one. So yes, this is Uncle Rico 5.0. Same turbo setup, same pump, same fuel. The last one made mid 1400 horsepower. I'm hoping for mid 1500, purely due to better ring seal.
Hey guys, it's Josh. Long time no see. Haven't been on one of these videos in a while, but we have the 07 out here strapped on the dyno. After UCC, we kind of had to regroup, retool an eBay radiator, and yeah, just a kind of a culmination of everything I've learned over the past probably over a decade now doing this. And I learned a lot when I worked at PDD, and then I owned my own business, and now I just stay at home dad life. So I get to come up here and play and learn and hang out with everybody, and it's nice to be back every once in a while. So the Bosch has, like, if you guys are familiar with like 849 stuff, it has a boost limited fueling table. The Bosch calls it a smoke map. So essentially what it's looking at is boost pressure. In the Bosch, it's called millibars, right? Everything in the Bosch is very OEM. So millibars is essentially air density measurement by our intake horn. So what Meyer and I think is happening from what we're seeing here is it's riding this smoke map. So it's really lazy. It's trying to make the truck run very, very clean. And the smoke map's great because without the smoke map, let's say you're at 40 pounds of boost and you go full throttle. Full throttle is, let's say, 1600 horsepower of fuel. Well, if the truck's only making 700, you go from 700 to 16 like that. The smoke map kind of catches you. So what we essentially did is move the smoke map up a little bit and out of our way. And what that means for me is, as the driver, I need to be aware now at 3,250 RPM, if I go full throttle, this thing will go full fuel. So I am now responsible for leaning the truck out, so to speak. It's a great system. However, I got a very bare bones model. So the smoke map is a lot more helpful when you have Lambda and all this other stuff that we don't have hooked up. So sometimes you just gotta do it out manual, you know what I mean? You just... All right, guys, not exactly super interesting or exciting, but basically what we're trying to do is just proof of concept, right? So I know the nitrous works. We'll dry fire it before the event. This mainly was just, I had a funky noise and you kind of get a feeling, and no matter how many videos or how many other things, like, you just have to prove that it works. So we ran the truck up to about 4,200 RPM. Reason why we kept letting out, the gates would open I had the gates set for our dyno and sled pull trim. Basically, the gates at around 60 PSI of drive pressure just instantly start dumping. So when we start turning on 2-3 kits of nitrous, you just let the wastegates blow open. And that's what I found works the best for me. I know Meyer, Will, and Todd have done a bunch of experimenting with their stuff. As far as the fuel only stuff goes, I really don't know, but I can tell you when these gates start to come over, the truck just instantly noses over. So we messed around with the Bosch. That smoke map change that you guys saw us talk about seemed to work because the truck definitely came to life a lot easier, and everything's still in one piece. All of the rods are inside of it. So I'm gonna do one more final retorque check, and then I'm gonna get my transmission blanket on, my engine cables 2 on, and get my firewall protection on as well. So that way we can put on a good show for everybody at Diesels on the Mountain. So another night of learning on the dyno. Yeah.
Gonna load a new tune in this thing. Not much has changed. Really not hardly anything, but I did want to try a few new little tweaks, see what happens. The last time this thing was on the dyno here, it just made a hair over 1500 horsepower. Those are the 106 Garrett. I'm curious if this 98 can make that much, so we'll find out. All right, that run just did 1,268 horsepower, 2,100 foot-pounds of torque, which is interesting because this was the 1,100 horsepower tune-up in this truck before with the same injectors. We do have a different turbo, the 98, but this is not a big tune. We've got a Colt cam in here and total seal rings. Other than that, it's a very similar build to the last one that was doing 1,100 some horsepower, same cylinder head, so it's just very interesting that's picked up that much power. So we're going to change the load. So I think it's pretty heavy load, and maybe that's where the power comes from, is a big old heavy load. I'm going to drop the load a little bit and see if it gets close before I go to the big tune. I don't want to have that much load on the big tune. So do one more run right now and see if she gets close to that number again.
So you're making 2,000. At 3,000, you're at 2,000. At 3,700, it's 1810.
That's pretty flat torque.
Yeah, that's wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Dude,
108 pounds of boost, 1,502 foot-pounds, 98's putting in work. All right, so Ruby's doing great. 1,502 horsepower is the biggest I got so far. I may play with it a little bit more, but it's ready for Diesels in the Mountains tomorrow and Saturday. So honestly, I'm really excited. This 98mm turbo did just as much horsepower as the old 106 did. The new engine build's great. That Colt cam I like a lot. The total seal rings, the gapless rings are working awesome. So yeah, I'm just gonna tinker around a little bit, but 1,500 horsepower still tried and true tow truck. 1,500 horsepower tow truck, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, get to see the Diesels of the Mountain, see if Josh make a big power number, and see if Will actually makes it. So yeah, it'll be cool.
All right, guys, 11:30 p.m. update. We've been at this way too long. As you can see, we've got the engine bolted back into the truck. I've got the turbos bolted on, oil feeds hooked up. The reason I've got the truck at this, when I first do my first startup and break-in, I want to make sure that I can see oil leaks and have easy access to everything. So I don't put the truck all the way together. I put it together enough so it can run. So I put the turbos on so that I don't have to cap the oil feed lines. I'd just rather let the oil run through the turbos and back down the drains. No water in it, so we run it dry. We take the oil temp up to about 135 degrees, and then we shut it off and do a hot retorque. So the way we do that is we actually shoot the oil filter with a temp gun. When the oil filter gets up to 135, even 140 degrees, we've got enough heat in the motor that we can do a hot retorque before there's any water or anything in here, just quick and easy. All right, so I got the engine together and we had to do break-in runs on the dyno. On the dyno, we started with kind of like a low power tune just to kind of get the oil flowing, give the bearings a little bit of time to break in. And I think it did okay, did like 400 or 500 horsepower. Second dyno pull, poured the fuel in it, and yeah, it made like 1100 horsepower at low timing. Very exciting. However, it's quite smoky. So when you put a 12-valve side pattern injector on a standard 6.7 bowl, it's not quite as efficient and clean burning as you'd expect. Not that I didn't expect it, I just had to test. I wanted the data. So because of the time crunch, because it's the night before we leave for the event when I dynoed this, we didn't have time to make custom injectors. So these are the same injectors I run with a 12-valve bowl, which is offset about 600 thousandths. And this is a centered bowl on highway 6.7 piston bowl. It's designed for a centered injector, not a sideways injector. So the fact that it works and even makes over 1,000 horsepower is awesome. And it just a little bit smoky. All right, so 3 years ago, I bought 4 matching paddle tires, scoops, purely so that I could put 4 scoops on my 4-wheel drive drag race truck. And every year I've broken my engine the weekend or two before the event in Montana racing. And guess what? This year was no different. I broke my engine in Montana racing. I set some personal records. This truck's running 570s. I mean, that's wild. However, it was broke. So I had to get this engine together last minute because I had to see what this truck looked like on scoops, and it did not disappoint. This thing looks rowdy on scoops and hooks up pretty good too.
All right, so my truck broke the night before, so I was kind of on camera duty a little bit. I also raced my dirt bike, but I want to get a good shot of Will's crazy scoops. Now, I do ride dirt bikes, I ride motocross, and I have a lot of experience of getting dirt thrown at me on a motocross track, so I thought, I'll put my helmet on, I'll get behind him a little bit, and I'll get a good shot of this truck leaving the line. Scoops on a 1,000+ horsepower truck are very, very different than a dirt bike tire on a 60 horsepower 450. I think it was crazy. My camera went flying. I got hit in the nuts. It was pretty rough, but it was the best shot of the day.
So every other year at Diesels in the Mountains, I always just bring a plethora of trucks to be able to dyno. And then last year I wanted a dirt drag as well, and it just didn't work out. There's just too much things going on. And this year I really wanted a dirt drag. And so I decided to just drive my shorty up to the event. Dirt drag, I brought some jacks and stuff in the bed of the truck, and then swap tires, dirt drag all day, and then drive back. And that worked out great, except the tires I was going to use were 17s, which fit about 2 months ago, but then I put drop spindles in the front, and so I couldn't put the 17-inch like all-terrains in the front of the truck, so I ended up running my Nito 420s in the front and putting the all-terrains in the back, and I just went rounds with that setup. That was so much fun. We had a couple different rounds of racing, and then after we were done racing, they just let us just grudge race anything, and so if it moved, I was down. I grudge raced it. I think I raced probably, I don't know, at least seven times or so. I lined up against Todd with his dirt bike. I lined up against my wife in my coworker's excursion. I lined up next to a couple different guys. It was so much fun. Definitely recommend dirt dragging. And the shorty just went rounds. It was a blast. And what's awesome about it is because that truck has a GT55, one of our Aggressor 98s on it, it is so clean going down the track. Once we got done, we just aired the tires back up and headed home.
Josh hit that big record at UCC, that big power number. He always wanted to go with the Diesels in the Mountains because there's a fun correction factor. He thought, man, it'd be crazy fun to go up there and get just a wild number. So he came up here and he dynoed his truck, made sure everything was fine. He didn't need big numbers, He did dyno his truck to make sure it was ready for diesels in the mountain. Once the dirt drag racing was done, it was now time for the super unlimited, whatever, massive, awesomely high class for dyno trucks. And Josh was in there and he decided to be the first one to go. They said, let's go. He's like, I'm ready. He goes up. He's the first one to go. And he just smacked that huge number. And everybody else in line is like, oh, how are we gonna top that? But you can't. I mean, it was just a massive 4,000 plus horsepower. That 4,157 horsepower. It's insane. Yeah, it was corrected, but his raw number is still the highest that has ever been recorded on that dyno, and that's the UCC dyno. So even in that crappy air, he had the highest raw number ever. And yeah, it was corrected to the super fun 4,000 horsepower number. When that number came on the screen, the crowd went nuts. Everybody went nuts. It was insane. And yeah, so anyway, it's super fun to see that. Other guys, I don't even know if anybody else cracked 3,000. So he was, maybe one guy cracked 3,000. So he's like over 1,000 horsepower above everybody there. So even though it's a corrected number, I mean, that truck is making insane power. It's super, super cool. So that was super fun. He's the only one who dyno. I didn't dyno, Will didn't dyno, Meyer didn't dyno. We were drag racing, taking rounds. And Josh went up there and smacked the biggest number that's ever been smacked. And that was really freaking pretty cool. So anyway, guys, Diesels in the Mountain is a fun event. I'm sorry my truck, Ruby, wasn't there. I lost second gear the night before the event. It's already fixed, but you know, next time there, I'm hoping to dirt drag next year because it is. Dirt dragging is ridiculously fun. It is.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done it in a four-wheel drive, and it is so fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to race Steve Darnell welder up in his D-Rod.
Yeah,
that's like a lifelong, I've always wanted to line up next to him in the junker, and although the junker was here and healthy, I still finally got to line up, and I nipped him. I beat him.
But that was a really close race. That was pretty.
Very close.
That was a very fun one for the crowd. 2 radical vehicles and paddles. It was super fun. It's a fun event. Like, we're always here promoting events. Go to events. Go have fun. The most you can go to. It's a great idea. And yeah, Ruby's going to get back. And I mean, that thing hit 1,500 horsepower the night before. I was excited because I was going to go, you know, battle with this guy and his paddles on my all-terrains. But you know, next time we'll be there. We'll have that battle next year. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. We had fun making it. The trucks are all healthy and good, and so you'll be seeing more of these very soon.
And make sure you give us a like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to hit 250,000 subscribers in 2025. All these YouTubers do that. Help us out. Yeah. No, but it does help us if you like and subscribe. It just gives us, you know, more reach. So,
thanks, guys. Appreciate it.